Korea's homegrown Johnny Somali, Shin Tae-il. We're going to be talking about that today on The Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. Now, this is a story that was brought to us by Gabe of the SCT, so shout out to him for helping put together this PowerPoint and put together this information, because this story is absolutely something that is big in Korea, but has not gotten a lot of international coverage. So here you go. You see him here. He has been sentenced to over 6 years on July 9th, 2026 in the Incheon Central District Court. In 2012, he started streaming as Shin Tae-il. He's had 185 YouTube accounts banned. Some people have made videos. He's the most banned streamer ever, but he's up there. He's had 22,000 viewers of a punishment roulette, which is one of his most controversial things. He's also earned 570,000 on the punishment roulette streams. He's had 161 donors sent to prosecution, 7 accomplices convicted alongside Shin, 6+ years prison sentence with labor, and 30 years on the offender registry. So this guy has gotten it really, really serious. So he started out as the angry Korean gamer, smashing keyboards against his head, raging, that sort of thing. But he evolved and ended up changing the type of content, including adding self-boo-boos for donations. We got to keep this YouTube friendly, but essentially viewers paying financial bounties via live donations to request extreme hazardous stunts. This is a cycle which led to severe criminal punishment, prosecution, and charges of this kind of interactive stream dare gambling. They call him the Korean Johnny Somali because he engaged in a lot of harassment of the general public. So he just went out in the public and did really, really annoying things that would bother other people, things that would, harass other people. That's generally what this guy's MO was. He also engaged in, not just on the metro, but for example, in the sauna. This is in the Jimjiba on June 26, 2025. Now, these places are supposed to be places of peace. I've been to a Jimjibang, there's places where you relax, where you just go to decompress, where you go to get rid of your stress. The last thing you'd want is somebody harassing you inside a Jimjibang. It was a breach of personal privacy and public decency. It was really, really breaking a lot of social norms in addition to the laws. And this triggered intense public outrage and resulted in immediate legal action for obstruction of business because, of course, he's committing obstruction of business at this Jimjibang, this Korean sauna. So here's the criminal record for this guy. 1, 2 accounts of obstruction of business, illegal gambling, defamation, insults, unlicensed driving, theft, and prior records. So he's got a lot of things going on here. So for obstruction of business, you've got screaming and arresting man's ears at a sauna, Jimjibang, in Incheon. The fine was 7 million Korean won. That's June 2025. Then he's got interfering with business to spread false information. That sentence was 6 months with 2 years suspended. That's from December 2024. Illegal gambling promo. He advertised an illegal private sports betting site. That's 2 to 5 million Korean won. That's from 2016. Defamation and insults. He's fined for insults and defaming a stepmother, ordered to pay 5 million Korean won. So the fines ended up stacking there even more. And then you've got unlicensed driving. He secretly took a father's vehicle and drove it without a license. 2 million Korean won there. Also theft of a motorcycle, stole at a convenience store, had various convictions admitted on live stream. That's all between 2011 and 2025. So this guy had a serious criminal record and was stacking the charges. This is his crew here, this Noami crew. He's got his brother here. He's got other folks here that were his collaborators. And all of these people have conviction. So essentially they gained notoriety for intense broadcasts where they had these extreme punishments and high-risk challenges. So you've had this punishment roulette, which is one of the key things here that's brought up. And this is July 12th, 2025. And essentially they'd have all these different high-risk, harmful activities on this wheel. And he got in trouble because he was involving someone who was underage at the time, which was viewed by 22,000 people. and this person who was underage was receiving a punishment, quote unquote, in exchange for donations. So this got him in the legal trouble. So he was arrested on September 1st, 2025. After the punishment roulette, the Incheon Police opened up an investigation. They tried to call Shin Tae-il in for questioning, but he ignored them. They got an arrest warrant, knock, knock, and raided his studio on a live stream. There's debate about whether they cuffed him or whether the other members would come with him to the station, whether they kind of came along peacefully or cuffed. But either way, he was in custody since then. 7 of the crew were indicted without detention soon after. The trial went on from October 16, 2025 to June 9th, 2026. In this, they were indicted by prosecutors. They had the public hearings. The victims' representatives demanded swift severe punishment. They had multiple hearings. So you see this, much like the case of Somali, it happened over the course of several dragged out hearings, which happened over the course of essentially a year. It took closing arguments in June 9th, 2026, where the prosecution sought a 12-year prison sentence. Ultimately, the verdict and sentencing was on July 9th. Over 100 tried to attend. 70% were Shin Tae-il fans, so he still has a lot of fans. 20% were press and 10% were victims and families. He was guilty of all charges. All 8 defendants were convicted. He received 6 years prison term with labor in a violation of Act of Protection of Children and Adolescents from Abuse, 30 years on the registry, and a lifetime ban from streaming. So this is something very interesting that's thrown in there, that lifetime ban on streaming. And it'd be interesting if countries start throwing that in there for people that are abusing streaming, saying, hey, you cannot live stream again. I think that would be an absolute punishment for these people, to be able to say, hey, you can't go and do this ever again. The accomplices were sentenced. So you see here, Lee Soo-lin, 3 years. Lee Seung-hee, the little brother, 3 years. Ro Bong-soon, the female, 2 years, 6 months. Nam-gu, 2 years, 6 months. Lee Sang-min, 2 years, 6 months. Crew member 6, suspended sentence, but 2 years, 6 months. 2 years, 6 months. So you're seeing a lot here. Also, there were 161 stream donors. So people that were giving money here that were actually referred to prosecution for aiding and abetting by financially incentivizing crime. So that's pretty crazy. His sentence was 6.5 years of actual prison. So this is really big. I mean, he's going to actually serve 6.5 years in prison. He's 38 years old. So, you know, he'll be, he will be 38 years old age at release. So he'll be nearly 39 when he's released in 2032. He's also going to have that lifetime streaming ban, so he's never going to be able to stream again. Now, all 8 defendants have appealed to a higher court for leniency. The prosecutor has appealed for harsher sentencing. So we'll let you guys know how this one turns out. That's the end on this guy, Shin Tae-il. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this guy Johnny Somali or worse than Johnny Somali? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one.